Before we get started with today's video, I have an announcement to make. After years of telling other people's stories, I finally released one of my own. My novel Eternal Reign is available now in both ebook and paperback format for those of you who are like me and prefer to collect physical media. You can grab a copy right now on Amazon through the link in the description of this video. And now back to our regularly scheduled program. Once everyone in the attack force has been given their own warding scale, it is officially time to head off to Garlemald after Tataru gives you all some much needed warm clothing. She's not coming with you because no sane person wants to go anywhere that's that cold. But she will hang out in Charlian to keep Crowd company while trying to find a way to make money because that will always be her main priority. With that last bit of side business dealt with, you all hop on an airship and make your way to Garlemald. You all make it to the landing site without a problem. But Thancred, while doing some scouting, comes across a large number of very well-armed soldiers that are being led by Virgilia, the legatus of the 3rd Legion. There are also members of the 1st Legion working with them too. That wouldn't be all that odd except for the fact that the 3rd Legion followed Nerva during the Civil War, while the 1st didn't. These two legions were pretty much the main forces behind the Civil War, so for them to be working together, they have to be tempered. If the plan was just to off everyone, then charging in would be a viable, if a bit risky, way to go. But since the plan is to save as many Garleans as you can while limiting the risk to your own troops, Lucia wants to thin the enemy ranks as much as possible before the head-on attacks can start. And the best person to come up with the more stealthy plans is definitely Thancred. Him and some of the other scouts have already snuck into a supply depot that's full of Magitech weapons and armor. When Lucia gives them all the signal, Thancred and his team will destroy the supplies, which will both remove some weapons that were definitely going to be used to try and kill you all, as well as draw some people to investigate. That'll help thin out the main forces a bit. Once they get fully ready to make their move, Lucia plans on splitting the forces into 2 groups, so she can have people ready to attack while keeping a rear guard to keep you all from getting flanked. She wants the Scions to play the role of floating assistant, meaning you all will be running around the battlefield helping out wherever you're needed. It's a simple plan, which is always the best kind, so you all get started. Instead of going in with this full team, Thancred decides to sabotage the supply depot on his own, because of course he does, and combining his rogue skills with his gunbreaker job, something that we really should be able to do on our own, he does exactly what he needs to, meaning he sets up enough explosives to make a very big distraction. With his part done, the rest of the Ilzabard contingent and the Scions of the 7th Dawn get a move on. You're all immediately attacked, so you all have to prove that you really are each nation's deadliest warriors. The Garleans are pretty relentless with their attack, and since all it will take to leave your entire force dead in the water is to wipe out your supply carriages, the battle is even more difficult than it could have been. That little fact has the Scions working twice as hard, especially since they are trying to put down the enemy without killing them, something that is extremely difficult for Estinian since he fights with a spear that's the size of a very tall person. When Virgilia joins the battle herself, that makes things even more difficult, but since the Scions have a literal godslayer in their ranks, that keeps things from getting too far out of hand. The Ilzabard contingent proves that it really is as good as it was supposed to be, by taking down everyone who attacked you and taking the ones who didn't die captive. That gives you all a clear path to Garlemald's capital. Your very large crew comes across a checkpoint that leads straight to the capital, but instead of running into another fight, the place is completely abandoned. Maxima remembers the place being constantly used by everyone from merchants to common folk, so seeing it empty is kind of creepy, especially since a place like that being deserted could very well mean that the people who had been there have all been tempered. Figuring out where everyone went is important, but before that you all need to set up some kind of base camp, since talking outside is a good way to freeze to death. Fortunately, the buildings being vacant makes setting up shop pretty simple, so after naming your new settlement Camp Broken Glass, you all dig in and get ready to plan your next move. The Imperial Palace is close enough for you all to attack, but before you charge in, you'll need to find out what's happened to the city. That way you'll know exactly what the Telophoroi are planning. A few of the soldiers you captured are people that Maxima knows personally, so once they've been cured of tempering, they'll be a reliable source of information about what led to the fall of the capital. The ether of the area isn't really sitting all that well with Ishtola, so instead of exploring, she decides to work on detempering duty instead of Alisei. Sicard will get some people to deal with the only slightly less important task of getting the heaters up and running, while the rest of you get the lay of the land and set up some defenses. The Telophoroi likely know that you're all there, so it won't be long before someone attacks you. Thancred, Urianger, and Estinian have all been to Garlemald before, so they'll take charge of scouting the area. While they handle that, Lucia wants the Warrior of Light and the twins to search the area called the Evelyn Rime and see if they can find any survivors. Now that you all have your orders, you set off to start exploring Garlemald. And that's where we're going to stop for today. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like it, comment, share it, and subscribe. Donate to the channel if you can, and I'll see you all next time.